Alright, so the Eagles just got a massive update ahead of their matchup with the Ravens that changes things significantly, as it seems like the Birds could see the return of one of their biggest offensive weapons in this one, which would obviously make their offense even more dangerous. Speaking of which, A.J. Brown and the Eagles passing game could be set to have a big day, while Saquon Barkley and the defense have a chance to send a clear message to the NFL. So we're going to talk about that and all the other news leading into the Eagles matchup with the Ravens starting right now. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles, and I want to start this off by saying I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving, you had some good food, and you got to spend some valuable time with your loved ones, and you also had a good time watching some football. And very interestingly, there's some huge positive takeaways for the Eagles from Thursday's slate of games. But before we get into that, we got to switch our focus to Jalen Hurts, who just always seems to be doing what he can to make a positive impact in the community, especially around the holidays. As the night before Thanksgiving, QB1 was seen at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia to visit some of the kids and host bingo ahead of the special holiday. And what's super awesome about this appearance from Hurts is that, as Eagles Nation noted, there were no cameras with him, and it wasn't done for good publicity, it was just done as a legitimate act of kindness and service for the community. So I just love that, and I always think it's awesome when athletes give back, so I try to mention stuff like this as much as possible because I think it's important. But again, just shout out to Hurts for doing this and drop a like down below for that. But now, I do actually want to circle back to those Thanksgiving games because some really interesting developments did come out of it for the Eagles. One being that the Cowboys just continue to hurt their draft positioning, which is pretty funny, but much more notably, I want to look at what happened in the Lions and Bears game because obviously this had huge implications for the Eagles, as a Lions loss would have opened the door for the Birds even more to eventually overtake them as the first seed in the NFC. Now, unfortunately, that didn't happen, in large part because of the Bears' absolute incompetence in the final seconds of that game to not call a timeout, or at least to run a play faster. And personally, I mean, if I was a Bears fan, that would probably be the last straw for me with the head coach Matt Eberflus, and I'd want him gone ASAP. Like, I mean, could you imagine if Nick Sirianni did something like that? Like, the backlash would just be insane. But regardless of that, this game was still a positive in my mind if you're an Eagles fan, for the simple fact that the Lions are clearly their biggest competition in the NFC right now, and they were just locked in a dogfight with Caleb Williams and the 4-7, now 4-8 Bears, and they almost lost the game at home, which is kind of crazy. Now, yes, divisional matchups are different, and we have to take that into account, but still, the Lions clearly looked vulnerable in this game, especially in that second half when the Bears offense really started to get going. So for the Eagles, that's just a good sign that, one, they could still have a shot at the first seed, and two, they could have success in a matchup against Detroit if it does come down to that. But that's obviously a hypothetical that's way off in the future, and for right now, the Eagles are just focused on what will be the Battle of the Birds this week, as they're set to face the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday in what should be a really exciting matchup between two teams with Super Bowl aspirations. And many fans have actually speculated that this could possibly be a Super Bowl preview, so safe to say that this is a big game and also a huge test for both teams, as both sides present their own unique challenges. And for the Eagles, one of their biggest challenges lies on the defensive side of the ball, as they're going to be tasked with slowing down Baltimore's #1 overall ranked offense that obviously is led by Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. And really, everything runs off those two, as of course they have a great two-man game with the RPOs and the read option plays that they run, as they both obviously present huge threats to a defense when running the football. And overall, Baltimore has the second-ranked rush offense in the entire NFL, and then passing the football, they are very good too, as they're ranked third in the NFL in that area. So it's kind of hard to find a weakness when looking at this offense, so the Eagles defense definitely has their work cut out for them. That being said though, so does the Ravens offense, as the Eagles defense is also the best in the league, and they've just been absolutely shutting down opposing offenses ever since their bye week, regardless of the talent level on the other side. So this truly is going to be a matchup of the best the league has to offer, and it'll be really interesting to see who comes out on top. And for the Eagles defense, they're really just going to have to continue what they've done over these past 7 games, which is get pressure on the quarterback, tackle well, communicate, and just execute their assignment, which admittedly, that is much easier said than done, especially when going up against an opponent like the Ravens. But if they can do all that and also contain Lamar Jackson and keep him in the pocket to a degree, they should be in pretty good shape. Unfortunately though, the Birds defense may be missing a key player in this game, as the veteran cornerback Darius Slay is currently still dealing with a concussion that he suffered in the game against the Rams, and he missed practice on both Wednesday and Thursday this week. So it definitely looks like he is on track to miss this game, but obviously we'll know what his actual status will look like for this game once the final injury report is released later today. If I had to guess, I'd say the Birds probably list him as either out or best case scenario questionable for this game, but again, we'll see. And the silver lining is that at least the Eagles have a solid backup corner that has played a good amount of reps this season in Isaiah Rodgers if Slay is in fact out. But now, moving over to the other side of the ball, the Eagles offense also is going to be be set for a really tough matchup, and Saquon Barkley is set for his toughest challenge yet. And don't worry, we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and you don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this coming throughout the rest of the season, then make sure you guys subscribe and really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. Trust me, you guys are not going to want to miss any of the Eagles coverage I got coming on this channel. I cover the Birds pretty much daily here, so if you want to stay up to date on all the latest Eagles news, this is the spot. So again, subscribe and hit that notification bell, and also drop a like to show some support because it really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we can get to 700 likes today. And now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So obviously, the Birds' calling card on offense this season has been their run game, as Saquon Barkley is just having a downright historic year, and the Eagles currently have the #1 ranked rushing offense in football. So you better believe that the Eagles are going to want to continue to run the ball well in this game, but again, it may be tougher to do that in this matchup than in previous weeks, as the Ravens have the NFL's second best run defense, and the most they've allowed to a ball carrier in a single game all year has been 88 yards. So this is definitely another one of those matchups where something has got to give, but it seems like the Eagles and specifically right guard Mekhi Becton are embracing the challenge.
When you guys face a run defense that has been this good, do you kind of look forward to that challenge?
Yeah, we do. We look forward to every challenge every week. You know, we just gotta, like last week, we gotta handle the movement, handle the front, and check our box and do our job.
As good as the Ravens' run defense has been, I just have the utmost confidence in the Eagles' offensive line and, of course, Saquon Barkley to continue getting the job done. And honestly, if the Birds come into Baltimore and they're still able to have a dominant performance on the ground and Saquon Barkley has another great game against one of the best run defenses in the league, then that is a clear statement to the rest of the league, because if the Ravens can't stop it, then it's pretty likely that nobody else can. But on top of that, this is also a big opportunity for the Eagles' offense to make a statement in a different way, as in stark contrast to their stout run game, Baltimore also has the second worst pass defense in the league, so this is going to be a massive opportunity for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense to really get it going through the air and prove that offensively they aren't just scary on the ground, but they can be scary and get the job done through the air when they need to. And specifically, I'm going to have my eye on AJ Brown in this game to have a big performance. I mean, just last week he had about the quietest 100-yard game possible against the Rams, and really all season, even though he hasn't gotten all the headlines and he's had fewer opportunities, with the Eagles obviously just being a more heavy run team, he's still been the same dominant weapon on the outside that he has always been. And ahead of the matchup with the Ravens, Jalen Hurts made sure to give AJ Brown his credit for what he's been doing this year.
Well, AJ's a hell of a player. You know, he's always been a hell of a player, and I think, you know, I mean, he was a hell of a player before he got here. You know, and I think it's a thing where you become at a place where you're complimented by all the different things around you. And he's shown up, and he's been doing it game in and game out. You know, he's always one that takes advantage of his opportunities, and you know, we just want to continue to, you know, play that type of complimentary football that gets wins in the win column.
I'm certainly expecting a pretty big performance from AJ Brown and the Eagles passing game in this one, and that's especially true if they see the return of one of their biggest weapons, and the Eagles actually just recently got a massive update that makes it seem like that could very much happen. As obviously, star receiver DeVonta Smith has been dealing with a hamstring injury for weeks now, and he just missed last week's game against the Rams because of it, and then things weren't looking so good to start this week, as Smitty was listed as out yet again for Wednesday's practice, so that definitely made it seem like he could have possibly been trending towards not playing again this week. But on Thursday, things took a positive turn, as DeVonta finally returned to practice in limited capacity, and then obviously today he was out there again as well. So now all of a sudden it looks like Smitty could possibly be trending towards making his return this week, which would obviously just be fantastic, and the Eagles offense would greatly benefit from that, especially against a Ravens defense that, like I said, has not been very good against the pass this year. Now, that being said, obviously we won't know Smitty's official status for this game until later today, and maybe by the time you're watching this video, you already know what it is. If I had to guess, I'd say he probably is going to be listed as questionable, or he won't have a designation at all, but again, as of now, it is definitely a really good sign that he's been back out there, and it seems like he has a very real chance to actually play. But regardless of whether he's out there or not, this is still going to be a very fun matchup. I mean, like I said earlier, this is a matchup that many people are saying could be a Super Bowl preview, and at the very least, it's just a huge game game later in the season between two very good teams, so it's going to be interesting for sure. But that being said, you guys already know that I'm going to pick the Eagles to get the win in a close one, 31-27. But what do you guys think? You can give me your score predictions down in the comments below. And also, while you're at it, again, if you don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this coming in the future, then make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And also, again, while you're doing that, make sure you drop a like as well, because that really does help me out a ton. Again, let's see if we can get to 700 likes today. And if you want to watch another Eagles video going over some news from earlier in the week, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.